Almost 100,000 Victorian homes and businesses have been left in the dark as sweltering heat forced power outages across the state. The opposition has blamed the government, but the Premier insists the blackouts weren't caused by a lack of power supply. Kieran Jones with the latest.
Clear signs of a system struggling to cope. This junction box in Sunshine West was a victim of the heat, exploding at 11:30 last night.
The whole front of the house lit up and I thought we'd caught fire. We lost all lighting, air conditioning and fan, which meant for a pretty warm night.
It left Shana Kelly's home without power, all while looking after 5 children.
No electronics, we're back to board games and playing outside under the sprinkler.
Shana wasn't the only one feeling the pinch. Phil Wall's power went out in Chelsea at 2 o'clock yesterday.
The thing that really is annoying is it would make it so much easier if there was some communication, and there's been none. The last time I contacted United Energy, I was on hold for 45 minutes waiting to get through.
The state experienced record demand for a Sunday, peaking at more than 9,000 megawatts at 7:30 last night, with a further 1,384 megawatts in reserve. A total of 95,000 homes and businesses were plunged into darkness. 41,000 of those were United Energy customers in the southeastern suburbs and Mornington Peninsula. 36,000 were Powercore customers in the state's west, and 11,000 were AusNet users.
I'm really peed off. Really peed off.
With so many customers affected, it was a long time until the backlog of complaints could be completely dealt with, and by early afternoon there were still numerous homes without power.
We're not getting any explanations. We don't know when it's coming on.
The restless night has sparked renewed debate about energy supply after the closure of the Hazelwood coal-fired power station.
I've seen mixed reports as to whether it's supply or whether it's not. The key point is having extra supply into the grid certainly ensures that you've got excess when supply matters.
This was not a power supply issue. This was about distribution and localised faults.
United Energy says the issue came about because 500 distribution fuses were overloaded.
They're designed to cope with load, but at this point we've exceeded the load on that substation.
It's out, so there's not much we can do about it. We just have to wait till it's repaired, I guess.
And Kieran Jones joins me live now from Caulfield North. Kieran, will there be any compensation for those affected?
Well, there certainly could be, Pete, if the comments from the Premier are anything to go by. Daniel Andrews this afternoon saying that the government exploring all available means to try to compel companies to pay that compensation. It is still frustrating for a number of customers going to air this evening. We know that United Energy alone has more than 3,500 customers who are without power, and they could face another rough night, Pete, because the Bureau of Meteorology has issued a number of thunderstorm warnings this evening. They're expecting about 80 millimetres of rain in some parts of the state. We know that the areas likely to be affected include right here in Melbourne, along with Ballarat, Gippsland and the northeast of the state. And there could be flash flooding as well, Pete. So it could be another dramatic evening of weather events tonight.
Energy companies may be forced to financially compensate the many thousands of households hit by power blackouts during Melbourne's hottest night this summer. Premier Daniel Andrews is also considering compelling the private companies to upgrade their transmission networks.
Chelsea resident Marianne Wall recalled her night in a few words.
Hot, sweaty and horrible. That's the way it is.
At 2 p.m. yesterday, the lights went out in sweltering heat, hitting every second house in this street.
It was just so oppressive because I think because it wasn't just the heat, it was the humidity as well.
We may as well have gone camping. I think, there wouldn't have been anything different.
Record demand for power on a hot Sunday and Monday forced the blackout of more than 50,000 homes.
No power, no food, no air conditioning. Terrible night.
Last night, very, very hot, no sleep.
Thousands of Powercore customers in the west were blacked out, especially along the Bayside suburbs and around Geelong. City power supplies were also disrupted around central Melbourne. But the biggest impact was in the United Energy southeastern region, the company website swamped by angry customers. The company said 500 fuses blew across its network.
Yeah, I'm accepting that we caused this and we are looking into it as best we can. And again, my priority is to get the customers back on supply today.
Electricity, or the lack of it, is a sensitive political issue. So Premier Daniel Andrews wants to force the electricity companies to financially compensate residents hit by the blackouts.
We'll work with companies and we'll compel them if we have to, both to look at compensation
and to look at improvements in that network.
To simply say, oh, well, it's a problem with the energy companies, nothing to do with us, what do you have a state government for?
Any compensation, especially for spoilt food, could be paid through a credit on future bills.
Let me apologise to those customers. It's a terrible thing for them to be going through.
And Brendan Donoghue joins us now from Richmond. Brendan, how many customers are still without power tonight?
Well, Peter, the good news is that the overwhelming majority of the 50,000 plus residents have been reconnected to the power supplies. The bad news is that about 4,200 are yet to be reconnected by Powercor, City Power and United Energy. That means that those people have been without power for 28 hours straight. And funnily enough, an energy retailer today, Energy Australia, it was out without power itself at its corporate office in Bourke Street, and it was struggling to sell electricity contracts. Pete?